This time.
Greetings from Los Angeles, California. I'm Dr. Alex Parsinia. We've been having actually a cold weather here. It's nice and warm during daytime and quite cold in the evening. What I'd like to talk about in this session is team leadership model as it relates to team management. Now we have talked about it, and actually there is a model which is figure 10.7 on page 424 of your text, where we're basically dealing here with the dynamics of what happens within a team, because the goal within a team is to be effective and efficient as well as being productive. Now, what are the forces that affect the outcome of team decision making and how effective and efficient that team is going to perform? Now, what we're having a lot within the organizational context is that because the complexity of a lot of decision making within companies are rapidly changing, and basically you need inputs from various departments, from various subunits, like you may need input from production, from operations, from marketing, from finance, from strategy, and so forth. So what you see a lot with a lot of companies is that they're having a lot of task teams. They have what we call tiger teams. They have different kinds of teams that are really making management decisions because of the complexity of the decision that needs input from various departments and subunits. So the use of team building is very critical. Now what you see in that particular figure, it looks at three variables, and these three variables are leader, team design, task structure, and team design. Now, of course, whenever you're dealing with team decision making, what you're going to end up, you're going to either have a formal leader or an informal leader, and sometimes you could even have both. Whereby in terms of organizational design, one person has been assigned as the team leader, but because of the charisma, because of the personality, because of the forces, the dynamics of the team, maybe you could also see the emergence of an informal leader, and the informal leader actually tend to be more effective than the formal leader. So the three forces which would affect the effectiveness and the efficiency and the productivity of the team decision making are those three: leader, team design, task structure, and team design. Now, the forces within the leader, again, it depends on the personality of the leader, who's basically be the leader of that particular team, the way because essentially when we're talking about corporate culture, you could also have team culture, and what in the world is culture? The culture is that when people interact in a group setting, another variable emerges, and that variable is what is unique about that particular group. And that is what we really mean by culture, is that when people interact, in effect, that group or that team also develop some shared values, and those shared values become basically the culture of the team. So when we're talking about the macro culture of the company, you could also see micro culture within these teams. Now, we're dealing with the forces in the leader, both in terms of the formal leader as well as the informal leader. Then team design, task structure. Now, what are some of these issues? One, of course, it's the components of that. For example, is the reward structure. Reward structure is very critical because it affects people's performance, it affects their motivation, it affects how they're going to behave, how they're going to basically perform. So reward structure is very critical. Educational system is very critical, because when you're dealing with, say, a team where they're involved in a high tech, that tends to be the complexity and relationship that there it tends to be very different where you're dealing with a team that are involved in inventory control. So those are, it calls for different educational system and different complexities. The information system is very important because what kind of information members have access to so that they can in effect become more informative as far as contribution to the team effectiveness, as well as of course organizational structure. In some companies actually team building becomes an inherent part of the structure. That's what you see in project management type of organization where everything in effect, all decisions are made by through the project concept, which is the team-oriented type of an approach, or in some companies where they're using the matrix structure, where you see one side of organization is your functional areas of structure in terms of marketing, operations, finance, distribution, and so forth, and then the other dimension of the organization are the different projects or different different products that they basically that they're trying. You see that particularly in aerospace companies, which are product driven, so that essentially you have a project manager that is interacting with the functional manager so that they can basically focus on requirements of the job within the project. Now the third variable is the team design, which deals with team composition, small teams versus larger teams. And there's really an optimum size of the team. If it becomes too small, it's not that effective. And when it becomes too large, then people would become, they would contribute less and they would inhibit them from contribution. The norms, which is really the shared values within the team, that's what I talked about, the culture of the team. I mean, would it motivate the team members to become more participative, or they're going to basically become more passive or active? These are deals with the norms and the shared values. The authority dynamics, because particularly when you're dealing with teams where you have people from different parts of the organization, maybe you have people very senior level, and people from the operations. Of course, that dynamics changes when people within the operation are dealing directly with people at the senior level or executive level management, as well as individual factors such as motivation, interest, skills, what skills people bring to the team, values, attitudes, and of course interpersonal behavior. So again, we're dealing with the leader-follower situation, the same model we talked about leadership, but what you see here, the same kind of a concept is also very applicable when you're dealing with team dynamics and the effectiveness and efficiency of a team. Thank you very much.